NAMM 2020. I'm here on the booth of 2HP with Stephen. How are you?
Great, how are you?
Fine. It's lovely here.
Thank you, welcome to the picnic.
Are we here at the NAMM show or somewhere in the picnic environment?
We brought our own little picnic to the NAMM show, so.
2HP is a company from where?
We're based in San Clemente, California, so Southern California between LA and San Diego.
So you are in the same building as Qubit, right?
Yeah, we share a big space with Qubit and a couple other companies.
And do you share also your knowledge? Or how do you interact a bit, or do you exchange?
Yeah, we all help each other out when we can, and we help develop each other's modules a little bit. Like I'll give them the modules to test, and vice versa. And it's a very cooperative environment.
I would say, is your domain is the digital side also, like Qubit a bit more. Yeah?
Half and half. So yeah, we do. Lately, we have been focusing on a lot of the digital modules, but I think some of the core components of our line are some of the analog modules. And what our philosophy is to make the things that deserve to be analog. So our VCO is based on the classic Curtis 3340 chip. We have a filter based on that classic 2144 chip and stuff like that. So things that are analog in the historical record deserve to be analog, so we make them that way. Other things, like obviously the pluck that you're hearing right now, like that can't be done with an analog in any reasonable size, so that's where digital.
Exactly. You are, I said, how many people are you at 2HP?
The company itself is really small, it's about 2 or 3 of us, but we do share a lot of resources with manufacturing and assembly with the other companies at the shop.
Okay, and it's your first synthesizer company, or do you worked already for other companies before?
I did work with Qubit briefly before splitting it off to become 2HP.
Okay, so you get a bit of this experience of Eurorack from the Qubit and then made your own company.
Yeah, it was actually their Eon module. So they made the 2HP Eon, which was an envelope, oscillator, and noise module. Yeah. And I was blown away. I loved the idea of keeping it small. At the time, I only had one relatively small case, so it was like, what small thing can I get to fit in this without becoming too much?
Where this idea comes from, making the modules tiny, 2HP?
Yeah, I mean, that was the spark that Eon created. So that was a 2HP module, and it was the first one I'd seen. So we took that, and that's when we did the oscillator and the filter. Those were the first 2, along with a few digital modules, the envelope, the noise, and a few other ones. And that was when it started. So we started with just those 6. And within 3 years, we're up to 40-something modules. And
on the developing part of making modules, is it harder to release them on 2HP, or is it much easier to pay the bigger ones? So
there's a little bit of give and take there. So on the design side, it's a little bit easier sometimes because with bigger modules, you need to add cool features. With something small, all it has to do is its job. So a VCA doesn't need to have all sorts of cool features. It can just be a VCA. Getting it to fit on there and getting the stuff to fit, like for example the oscillator, it's a lot of small parts. It's really cramped onto the board. So from the concept side, it's a little easier. From the execution side, it is a little bit more difficult for sure.
Because I can expect, especially you in the digital world, where you have parameters, you can do so much stuff, endless possibilities, to putting then the essential part of it on the 2HP module. That's quite a hard part, I think. Quite a challenge to get the right things on it.
Yeah. Oh, totally. It's always a risky choice when you're picking what few knobs you can put on a module and what to give CV for, or what not to give CV for. It's always a tricky decision for sure.
Are you designing modules on the customer feedback or more on your own what you want to release? So
A little bit of both. Really, I mean, originally there were all of these gaps and all of these specific functions in modular, so like the oscillator, the envelope, all of these things that we felt we had to have in the product line. Aside from that, we have received a number of suggestions for great ideas of modules from customers. We've made them. Some of those have actually happened. And then on the other side of it, there are some things where I'm sitting at home working on something and it's like, man, it would be so cool to have a tiny module that does this. So like something like the burst, that's what happened there. And it was, man, I wish I had something I could just repeat this thing like 3 times. And so then it was like, that's a great idea for a 2HP module. So.
I think the good thing is with 2HP is that you can split specific functions to the specific modules. Right. It's not like putting 5 functions in one module, you can put it in 5 modules, 5 functions.
Yeah. And it's still the size of one module.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, because they're often, you get 3 envelopes, 2 LFOs in one module, but you need only 3 envelopes.
Exactly. And a lot of the idea when we started fleshing this company out was you fill up your 84 HP case or whatever, and you end up with that last little slot. And you always know, like you get there and you think, man, I wish I had another envelope, or I wish I had another mixer, or I wish I had an oscillator here. Yeah. And so that was the idea, was to like, let's fill that gap with the thing you know you need.
Okay. And what do you think is the future of Eurorack? Because Eurorack, we are 2020, and I think there are tons of modules available. I think over 200. Muffigler is full, or the modular grid, and because we have now analog clones from one specific brand,
right.
We have many digital products. Where do this ends, or what is the next step in Eurorack? What do you think?
That's a great question. Personally, I think the next foyer for modular and Eurorack specifically will be portability. I think is going to be a huge thing, so that's why we're starting to do this with the Lunchboxes. Make something small you can bring somewhere, because all over America, at least, we're having these modular picnics, they're called, but modular on the spot has spread from where it started in LA all over, and they're on both coasts now, and that's where you bring your synthesizer and you go out into the wild somewhere and you play with a generator and a bunch of people. So I think making something that's portable, power supplies that are battery powered even, or things of that nature will be one of the next big steps for modular synthesis in general.
Okay. And for NAMM 2020, you're bringing this amazing box here, Picnic. Yeah. Explain me a bit what was the idea to make it portable, yeah?
Yeah, I mean, so originally, like I was saying, it was always to fill that last spot in your case or something like that. But then once you have a bunch of these things, I mean, we make about 40 different individual modules. You can combine those in amazing ways, even with as few as 5 to 10 of them. And so, with how small they are, and this spread of the portability, we thought, man, what a great idea it would be to have something small, something fun you can pack up and take with you, whether you're going on a bus trip, on a plane, or you're going out to one of these modular on the spots, or even to bring along if you're a bass player in a band and you want to have like a little effects rig. You can just pop this on the stage next to you.
Are these USB powered? Can it be with a battery pack or?
No, it's standard barrel jack, so like a laptop power supply type thing. They'll ship with the power and like an 18-volt power brick, and that'll create the power for the entire system.
So there are two versions, or without power and with power?
So actually, we're going to be doing unpowered and powered, but then we'll also be doing 4 pre-configured systems at 2 different levels each. So there'll be a basic system of a drum machine, a synth voice, and an effects box, which will be basically 4 or 5 modules each, and really just the core of what those systems are. And then we'll have a pro version that's more like 8 to 10 modules.
Okay.
Where
I read your press release or on the website. What is the Picnic?
Yes. So the Picnic basket is going to be basically the flagship of the systems. It's going to be something like this, where it's packed full of some of our more popular modules, and isn't geared towards one specific facet. So it won't be a drum machine and it won't be just a processor, but it'll have elements of all of those things so that you can take it out and maybe one day you make some ambient thing and another day you make some really grimy, distorted techno thing, and something so that you can, with a minimal amount of modules and a little room to grow, you can still have fun and make interesting stuff.
That sounds interesting, very interesting. And they are also very small because on the website they look a bit bigger. I think from my personal side, but they are really, really thin. But you have also, beside this, some new modules, right?
We do have a couple new modules. We have a time domain pitch shifter. So like basically just a delay-based transposition harmonizer type module where you can mix your original signal back in. We've added a fun little flutter control to that, which emulates a little bit of like tape press and release with a little bit of like pitch shift happening. In addition to the pitch module, we have a compressor, finally. Just a very basic 4 controls with threshold, ratio, attack, and release. But it does have a sidechain input, which has been missing from Eurorack for a while. I mean, there are a couple compressor modules, but there's not many.
Yeah, there's often quite big. I see always compressor, they are really big.
Yeah, there's a few small ones, but obviously none 2 HP, so.
Yeah. And there's a looper, right?
Yes, the loop is the third module we'll be releasing this year, and that is basically like your looper pedal style looper, so push to record up to a 10-minute buffer size, and then infinite overdubbing on top of that. And you get to control whether you're blending with the live or the loop, as well as an input level control.
Because I make maybe a mistake, but did you have already a looper in your program, or?
No, so we have the play is a sample playback module.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you can export this loop, what you recorded, can you export it, or is it just internally?
No, it's just internal, so it's the spirit of modular. Once you shut it off, it'll never be the same.
Okay, yeah. So it's pure for live improvisations, live performances.
Yeah.
Okay, and when we can expect all this?
So all of the lunchboxes and the systems will be available in March. Everywhere from $150 for the case with no power, $50 without power, $150 with power, and then the systems will be between $500 and $1,200. The new modules will be coming out in the following 3 months, so April, May, and June.
And they are around?
$119 probably for the pitch and the compressor, and then $150 for the loop.
Okay. So you're asking without power $50 for it?
Unpowered, it'll be about $50.
That's super reasonable. Super
Yeah.
reasonable.
And without the power, I mean, you could throw your lunch in there.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Stephen. I wish you a good NAMM show 2020. Good luck with your Lunchbox. That it get filled with good stuff. Big thanks. And I hope you enjoyed this video, and leave me in the comments below if you have a question. And as usual, if you enjoyed this video, big thanks and ciao.